No breathing, no touching. You hear me? How bloody good does that look? Howdy, my name's Workshop Lewis, and yet again, we are fixing one of my previous mistakes. This is the wheel well, that's the underside of my bed. Let me show you what the problem is. When I welded the base on, it didn't go really to plan, and I didn't notice that as I was doing it, it was bowing down quite a bit. Let me get a torch on there so you can see it from the other side. Yeah? Pretty big gap underneath it, and I'm really not that happy with it. We need to jack it up in between, spread it, lift that center point, and chock it out. So what we've got to do is I'm going to put this block of wood and this hydraulic spreader, we're going to lift it up and then hopefully fix that bowing of the bed. We've got a frame rail just here which will support the bed, give it a little bit more strength, slide in fillers to then try and tack them in, make them permanent so nothing can vibrate or move, and that will fix the bed. Once we've done that, we've got to close this hole back up. And I'm not going to put the same plate back in, we're going to do something a little bit neater, because I was never happy with the finish of just a plain sheet of metal underneath here, and we need to make it look a little bit more OEM. That's moving it up. Nice. It does mean that I'm going to have to do each run, make sure that each piece is level. That looks way better, but you can still see it's down in other spots. I'm going to measure the distance, cut a block, put it in there, chock it up, move it across either side, make sure it's all chocked up, and then we can go from there. The goggles, they do nothing.
My eyes, the goggles do nothing.
I'm wearing safety glasses, goddammit. I think I'm bending it up too much there. Whoops. Hold the part in the vise properly. My bad. Done one side. Now I need to do the other side to all of them. I'm gonna do that off camera. They love listening to copyrighted music here. You saw me do these seconds ago. It's been like a week and a half since I did anything on the car. I ended up getting sick and I pulled a muscle in my back which ended up turning into like a pinched nerve, and I am feeling sore. When this video takes even longer than it normally would, that's why. Workshop Lewis messed his back up, couldn't come into the workshop. Me, I'm Workshop Lewis. I messed my back up and didn't come in. When I did these, I ended up going back there, taking a little bit more off, and then I made 3 that are slightly narrower, so then I can slide them in down the side and still get the support right on the edge. So we've got those just in case. I left 2 bigger than the rest of them because the center needs slightly higher supports than the outside. So what we've got to do now, there is a seam on the inside. Let me show you that. There is a seam on the inside that I'm going to grind down. We're then going to clean up the inside, paint everything black except the machine surface. That is going to stay raw metal, and they've got a good amount of scoring on there, which should help the panel bond glue to it as well. I've sent pictures to my engineer, told him what I want to do, and he's confirmed that I can panel bond them in. I'm not welding, I'm not mechanically fixing by any means, like I'm not screwing into anything. I'm just gluing these in and that should do the job. Can't remember if I did, I don't think I filmed anything on the wheel arch, but let me just show you another thing that I got. Oh, I gotta stop sitting down. spare wheel well. When I cut the flat plate out, I didn't really want to just put a flat plate back in there. We're going to have to trim out some of this frame, which again, the engineer doesn't really mind because it's too structural as it is. And then we'll tidy up the inside and we're going to invert it. So from the underside, you'll see the cutout for a spare wheel, even though we're not going to put a spare wheel in there. If I really want, I might be able to make it work like a bit of a toolbox. Put some slime in there, whatnot, do all of that kind of jazz. So that's going to go into the wheel well and make it look a little bit more OEM, even though none of it is. Sick. All of that said, I'm going to make myself a little bed so I'm comfortable underneath. Get the jack from next door and work out where all of these go. And then I've got to clean up the paint on the chassis on the inside. So then we're doing metal to metal with the panel bond. It is quite difficult to get a decent shot from down here. So I apologize, but there's not a lot else I can do. Maybe put the camera back. Ooh, yeah, way better shot from there. What was I thinking? Maybe that way. There we go. All right. And we're gonna need to trim all the way around. I did a very rough cut when I cut that last panel out, but we are gonna need to clean all of that up. Now, is that gonna go? It is. And one more. So we want to double check level with that bit of bar over the top. Make sure that that's all right. If it isn't, I'm not completely sure what I can do because I won't be able to take much more out. When I was doing the second cut to make them even thinner, it was vibrating quite a lot just because of how thin the steel was getting on the sidewall. Let's go up top and see how that worked. Yes. Hold it level a little bit. Yeah, cool. And the walking test. Oh, my back. That feels so much more solid. I'll put you on the other tripod so you can see it. Wow. So, those knuckles are like right here, and it's got way less give, and it feels like a proper ute bed now. Sick. All right, so I've got to, the spare wheel is offset slightly one way. I think it's this way, yeah. The spare wheel well is slightly offset that way, so I can't get the last large one in and then the last small one in this side. I should be able to shimmy the other one down this side without too much of a problem, but that kind of sorts out that issue, which is real good. It now looks right. So that is pretty dang good. It's a little bit up in the middle, but not enough to worry about. Yeah, that's spot on. Sick. I'm just gonna prep them all now. So let's do that next. They're gonna be sitting like that. So if I don't take off, there's kind of like a little ledge and dust and water and weather could get stuck in there. So I just wanna make sure that I'm taking off anything that could get a little shitty. We'll sand the inside, sand the outside. I've been talking to people about the painting process of the car and who's gonna do it and what paint brand I'm gonna use. And we may have some big news, but I'm still finalizing everything. One of the side notes of talking about doing all of that is I'm gonna paint this with etch primer and then chassis black. While I'm sanding it, I shouldn't be touching it with bare hands. So if you're doing that kind of thing, you're getting something to bare metal, but then just going to be painted straight away, wear gloves. And also don't blow the stuff off. Then you're still putting like water particles on there. No breathing, no touching. You hear me? Clean rag. Prep wash. Wipe everything down. They're now basically prepped to as much as I can get done today. I need to let that dry overnight, and then I'll come back and do a coat of chassis black over the top. I'm not going to take the tape off until I'm ready to install them straight into the car. And we're going to use a bunch of panel bond. We're going to be using the Terrason's Ep50-55, and we can do that bare metal to bare metal. So the next step, which I'm going to do tomorrow maybe, is try and work out how to remove the paint. So you got the underside of the bed, and then the chassis, I've got to remove the paint from there where each of these are sitting. It's going to be interesting. But I'll do that, and then we can glue these in. Sick. Groovy. It's the next day. Everything's nice and dry. I've just had a chat with the boys next door, and they have said a grey Scotch-Brite. Very nice and light. Just trying to scuff it up. And now we're going to go chassis black over the top. I've got my gloves. We're still going to wear gloves the entire way through. Anytime I'm doing body work, I'm going to have some gloves on. And if you point it out and I don't have gloves on, leave a comment. I'm kind of working against myself on that one because I'm going to be wearing gloves the whole time. Please just leave a comment anyway. So let's scuff all of these up, inside and out. Sick. Now I just need to do all of the other ones, and then we will get the chassis black, give them all 2 coats, nice thin coats, but if I mess up and spray one particular area really wet, it doesn't really matter because no one's ever going to see these again. I had a heat lamp on them for a good period of time. Let's spray the inside for a second coat. Anything that's sitting flat and stuff can land on top, we want to make sure extra careful. The sides, they should be all right. I'm only going to do 1 coat on them. But let's get this second coat on and this glove on. Leave a comment. They're pretty much done. So what we've got to do now is get back under the car, cut out everything that we need to cut out, as in clean up the spare wheel hole, deburr it, make it so it's nice and neat. And then we're going to cut out that half radius where the frame is kind of cutting into the spare wheel. Again, not great to film under there, so I apologize. Hey, a torch. Battery's about to die. I'm not getting out of here to change the battery. I'm just going to finish what I'm doing from here. And then you can look at what I've done after I've gotten out. All right, so you were over there before. We've done all around the outside. We now need to cut out across the underside of this piece of metal, the frame, I don't know. I can't remember what I was calling it. Calling that something. Cut out a line across. I've got a little mark on the black just down here, and then another one over the other side. Then we're gonna come around and cut all of this out and that out, following the same line. Not fun, but we gotta do it. Now, I probably need to hold the cutter on a real big angle and just use the tip and cut out this bottom piece. I'm getting there real slow. I'm just thinking about it, and it seems like a bit of a life lesson. But as long as you can eke out just like a little bit of progress each day consistently, you'll be all right. Let's keep cutting. Let's keep eking out that like a millimeter at a time success. Ugh. Hey! I am absolutely covered in small pieces of metal. Give me a second. Clean myself up. How to do this last couple of cuts. I've got the spacers off to the side. I'll let them keep drying. I did put them in front of the heat lamp after the second coat for a little bit, but we want to make sure it's completely dry before we start messing around with that. We've got that bit cut out, so the next thing to deal with is this. My plan with this is if we can invert it. So normally this sits in a Ford Falcon in the boot like that. What we want to do is get this in the hole, cut it to the right height and put it up. So then it looks like we've got the recess for a spare wheel, even though we're probably not going to carry one. I know a lot of people have commented on the wheels and these aren't set in stone. Currently, these are the ones I'm going to use, but we'll see what happens. First thing we need to do to see if this is going to work is remove this piece of steel that, a dead spider? Yeah, it's a dead spider. I need to remove this bit of steel. There's like 5 spot welds. We need to get that out because I want to offer it up before I worry about removing any of this sound deadening. We will put the sound deadening back on the other side so you can't see it. That means we've got more spot welds to unpick. Woo! I'm getting pretty good at that. Every now and then I'll get asked the question, if I want to heavily modify my own car, what are some of the things I should know? Firstly, sometimes I say don't do it because it's way more work than you think. But secondly, learn to sharpen things. Tin snips, drill bits, chisels. Get a good bench grinder and learn how to sharpen every single one of your tools. Because you will go through so many spot weld drill bits and you're better off just having, say, 6 of them and then just keep sharpening them up. Sick. Not bad. That actually went really well. All right, there isn't anything else hanging around. I'm gonna try and film this, but I'm gonna be under the car pushing this up into that hole that we just cut. And I keep saying it's difficult to film up there. This is probably gonna be the worst part. We'll see how we go. I'm gonna bump my head up. Nice. Smooth. I thought it was gonna fit. I measured it up. Maybe I measured it up wrong. That blows. I could possibly cut an even bigger hole. That sucks. 669. 645. 6.5. That's 20 mil. Oh, poop. Oh. That sucks. What does that mean? I probably need to draw a circle the exact same shape and size. Cut that out. Transfer that onto the underside. Cut that out because we want it to just kind of like straight up in there. And how high are we going? 60-ish mil. You're still getting a fair bit of depth in there. I mean, it's not the worst, but it definitely ain't the best. Oh. Oh. Still tight, still sore. All right, I've had overnight to think about it. I think the best course of action is cutting this down to the correct width. So it's probably about 55 mil, which gives us a little gap underneath between the slats and the bare wheel tub itself, because we don't want them touching and rubbing against each other. Once this is nice and flat, we can cut this out of cardboard, use that cardboard as a template to mark out what I need to cut out exactly, and we'll even time it so cardboard template has a mark, we mark that onto the cut it out, and then this goes in a very particular way. With saying all of that, I'm going to do that on the weekend so people don't have to listen to me doing that, or at least make it so they're not here, maybe Friday afternoon. Cut that out, put this in. With the extra material that we've cut out, I can now get all of those little spaces in. They've had overnight to dry, so we should be able to glue them in as soon as I clean out the paint on the lower side, the chassis side. Peel that tape off, panel bond, slide them in, done. Can sort this out slightly later, but at least I know what I'm doing now. We need to mark a even line all the way around so I know exactly where to cut. I have made this little gizmo, which is just like a dial indicator magnet with a scribe on the end. Worked extremely well. So now I should be able to magnet that and set this up at the right height and then spin it around and mark where I need to do it. So let's set the height, mark it out. Find a flat spot. Full disclosure, my back issue is because I already bought one of these and messed around with it. And when I did this cut, I put myself into an odd position and my back just kind of let go. So I'm going to try and not do that this time I cut it out. My back. My precious antique back. Oh. Me, ouch. All right, a little bit more. It is squeezing season right now, and I am having trouble squeezing.
They took my squeezing arm! Why my squeezing arm? Ah!
Yikes. If you've ever used tin snips, after a while your forearms feel like they're on fire. Here is the panel, and I'm already noticing a slight issue in that retaining bit is now lower, which I didn't really want that to happen. I really hope I don't have to cut a third one of these out. That's gonna blow. My arm. My squeezing arm. Why my squeezing arm? Now we can glue them in. I probably need to clean out some of the dust that's in there first though, so I'll get a air hose and... Oh, that's actually that's a spider. Oh, you don't want to be in there, pal. Let me fix this little curl. It's not really any better. Anyway, mic's in a good position. So, I wiped it down with a bit of just generic wax and grease. Before we do the gluing, you want to get some Terrason's VR10. So this is the prep, and as it says on the bottle, bonding and sealing pre-treatment. I've got my Terrason spray bottle loaded up with the VR10. Let's spray that onto a fresh rag, wipe it down, and then we can start adding the Ep53, which is right down here. Ep5055, which is a panel bond, OEM panel bond. So, we're going to need to wipe this freshly machined and sanded face down with the VR10 as well. And again, I'm in glove. The block of wood that I've just put in there is oily. So again, I'm going to have to wipe that down. We want good bonding. right.
All right.
Giving it a good coverage on both machine faces, so all the metal, bare metal is covered. And the first one definitely is going to be the most awkward. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to set up the camera where I'm prepping everything so you can see that side of it, and then I'm just going to go on with it because we're now on a time limit with the glue going off. That one that I just did was the very end of the gun, or very end of the tube that I had left over from doing the base. So we can take that out now. Terrazon's Loctite have kindly lent me this terrific bloody gun, so we're using it. I've just got water on my hands. The tube that I'm about to use, which is the same stuff, Ep50-55, anytime I do any spray painting or any gluing or anything, I normally try and put the tube in a tub of hot water just to make it a little bit easier to come out. That tip should still be good because we only just used it. Put your thing in a disposable glove so it doesn't get too wet, even though I've just gotten water everywhere else. Slide that out, slide it into the gun, push that forward. Because it's pre-mixed in here, I've used a lot of that tube to get it to that point. Now we can, feeling a little rushed, but I think I should feel a little rushed. Make sure that that fits. Yep, we got movement. VR10. Wipe down. It is way easier to get out now because the tube isn't frosty. Making sure all of the metal is covered. Sick. I think it went well. I need to put some weight in the back to hold it all down. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take my gloves off, tidy up, do that. I'll be right back. It's the next morning and it's winter here. It's Australian winter. It's not super cold, it's not below zero, it's not snowing, but it's not good conditions for panel bond to dry, so it's still a little tacky. Take it underneath, show you what we've got. It looks exactly the same, except now there are some spaces glued in. What it does mean with the tackiness is I don't really want to take those weights off until it's completely set, and it also means that I don't want to cut out and cause a bunch of vibrations on the spare wheel well. What we're gonna do, prep the wheel arch. So there are a couple of holes in here. There are a couple of holes in here that need to be welded up. There's a little bit of cutting that we need to do, and we need to start puzzle piecing both wheel arches together to make it so they fit where they need to fit. And we need to paint this one black because that's going to make a huge difference to the look of the car, even though they won't be in yet. To the bench. Actually, no, we'll go under the car and then we'll go to the bench. The glue, it's just a little tacky. So it hasn't fully set, but they're all in. It's not going to go anywhere from here, but I don't want to mess around with it until it's completely set. Once it has all set, I'll probably scuff everything up and then spray some underbody in here before we put the wheel arch, no, the spare wheel well in. Now, to the bench. Safety shoes still on. I can't be bothered taping them up. There's a hole right there and I didn't clean the paint off. I remember last episode. Let's not do that again. It's like I don't have any gas on. It's because I don't have my gas on. The details that I've cut out are out of a Isuzu D-Max. And although they are still raised bits like the tub, they're not the exact same profile, and we want all of the profiles to match so it looks as OEM-ish as possible. So they're going to get thrown into a pile of other metal where I might use that detail in the future, but we're not on this car. With all of that cut off, we now need to keep sanding everything back and then just prime it all in etch black. That bit needs to be cut out because we need to put a little hatch there so we can replace the indicator or the indicator bulb if we need to in the future. It's now the next morning, so it's been 2 days. Still a little tacky, but if it ain't dried by now, it's probably not going to dry that much more. No, that's definitely wrong. That is the wrong attitude to have. But I am going to take the weights off. If it still isn't like fully set by tomorrow, I'll go next door, grab some heat lamps and just like heat lamp the area where the glue is. But we need to take the weights out. I need to look at how this wheel, tub arch, inner wheel arch, ute wheel arch, we'll go with ute wheel arch, how that is cut to make it fit in how it is. My English is... I need to look at how the wheel arch is cut, get some dimensions, transfer that onto the other one that we just painted black so we can set that in on the side. Then it's probably at the point where to puzzle piece it together, we need the tailgate attached. But to attach the tailgate, I probably need to paint that black as well, start getting some protection on the bare metal that I've left, because I probably should have prepped that a little bit more while I had the opportunity. What are we getting caught up on? This wants to go right back, but we are hitting something significantly. That fixed it a little bit. Can't see anything from in there, obviously. There. We are hitting. I think we're hitting along here. I reckon it's right there and right there. We're hitting there and there. At least it's made it pretty obvious for me. And we don't want to mess with that. It's not really going to matter if we knock that down. Much better. Right here. That needs to come in. What are we hitting now? I reckon it's hitting the strut tower. There's nothing I can do about that. If that is the case, I didn't plan on this being difficult. Well, this being this difficult, I thought it fit. Check, 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 check. Oh! I'm clearly missing something and I can't see what I'm missing. But it doesn't really matter because I'm going to have to go to work now. It gives me a chance to think about what it could be hitting. Actually, I think I just saw it. Where's that torch? Ah! I see it. It's right here. It's hitting along there, which is a pain, and I'll work that out tomorrow. I'll be back. All right, I'm glad I worked out what was wrong right as I left yesterday, because now I can just come in and fix the problem. And the problem is, I would say, across here. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to have to cut across this fold And we may need to trim out some of this lower section as well, hit the flat panel in, and then trim back part of the rear M3 panel, or the rear M3 outer wheel arch panel, and then tack that all back together. I have access to the inside of the panel, just need to remove the rear wheel. So it doesn't need to be prepped insanely well right before we do it, because I can dress both sides. That should fix that issue. I'm still uncertain whether or not it's going to foul on something else before we get where it needs to go, but just fix one problem at a time and then hope that there aren't too many other problems after it. I forgot how I did this. I thought I welded the two together and then hit it over. I didn't. I hit this over and then welded it together. I can hear the tension. I need to dwell on this for a second.
A few moments later.
I'm just going to send it. I think it should be all right. There's structure holding everything in. I think the tension was in this panel, just wanting to come back, which is fine. And I think I need to trim further down around here. We need to get this piece slightly under the wheel arch piece. Before I put the rear quarter panel on, I should have just capped this whole thing off, plated it, gotten rid of it. The vapor canister sits in here, but it already can't fit because I've cut out a section here. Every now and then I get comments on, like, why is this car taking so long? And yes, other people could build it faster, but it's just small things like this. How was I to know? Yarg. We are definitely getting somewhere. Still got more, but we have made progress. I was going to bring you over this side and show you something that I'd done differently. I took the wheel arch out, looked at it. I hadn't done it differently. I'm also having the same issue over this side. So it's still pivoting it in one spot. I kind of think it is the strut tower on this side. So let's see what this side looks like, and then fix this side, and then go back and fix the other side as well. I think what's going to need to happen is I'm going to need to cut this flatter. But let's see. That's where it wants to be, right there. On that bottom of the ridge is hitting right on the top of the strut tower, which is really unfortunate. That is reinforced. I could possibly just, any clearance is going to be good clearance. Let's see if I can mess with that a little bit. That's where it wants to be. I think we just clamp that back up again and call that done. Slight adjustment for this one. We're making good progress, but there's still just heaps more to fucking come out. I don't see where it's hitting anymore. Oh, this is not how I planned on doing this. I spent a while on this and went away, started doing some other stuff, tied it up around the place, came back to it, still couldn't see it. Went and had a chat with the mechanic and said, it's beating me. Looked at it for 5 or 10 minutes, eventually realized I can see what's going on from the inside of this. I can open the door, look inside, could see it straight away, and you can see where it's hitting as well. See this little black dot? That's where it's hitting, and it's hitting right on the strut tower. I can't modify the strut tower, so I have to modify this. So let's cut this out and see if it's fouling anywhere else. I think the goal is to make it fit and then make it look pretty. Probably hard to see there, but it is right there. And that isn't enough. We just keep cutting and then work out how to patch it with whatever we need to. Whoa, we're getting real close. Oh, I think that's it.
Nope.
So we've got clearance there. I don't think we're hitting over here anymore. The next problem that I'm finding is over here, and we're gonna have to do basically the same thing we've done up the top. I'm gonna cut straight down across here, remove the flange, knock it in, and then grind it back to where I need it to sit. That's in. No? Yeah, that's in. There's some adjusting to do, but like, that's touching. We're pretty parallel. This has been like 3 days of messing around. It's probably a couple of minutes in the video, but days of my life trying to get this to fit, looking at it going, why the hell won't that fit? So really, that's just the first step. We've now got to make it look pretty. I've now got to fill that in with something that looks OEM. Still got to go on with the tailgate and then puzzle piece this together. But they both fit now. Sick. Sweet. So we now have the wheel arch in. It's sitting in basically where it wants to be. I have reattached the tailgate, and I also went back to pull it and just pulled off one of the tailgates.
Are we not saying phrasing anymore?
Just took out one of the tailgate inner panels, so we've got more of these profiles that I can cut down, extend to cover over the hinge. So we'll be able to cover across there, make it all look nice and pretty. Also did another thing off camera. Gave the tailgate a bit of a sand and got it into black. And god damn, that looks sick. How bloody good does that look? I mean, painting everything black, all being one color basically. The rear bumper isn't, but it being all one color basically, I'm super happy with how it's all turning out. I have noticed a small issue. This panel is too flat and this comes up too high. So the tailgate needs to come in a little bit, which I can adjust on the inside of the hinge. And then we're probably going to need to cut a little bit and lower it down so it meets the rear quarter. Again. Boy, that hits. Looks like a bit of a mess, but I think this is 95% of the panels that I need to finish the rest of the car. Not including rust repairs, that's a different job. The only other thing that I know I'm missing that I have here, it's just not in this pile of parts, is little hatches to get welded in so we can service the indicators. I bought this white jumbuck panel and I thought I'll use that for patching, but it is really good condition, way better than the silver one. So that is going to be the tailgate panel. The first thing we need to do is, like I said, with the tailgate, it sits up and doesn't look right on the edge here. So we've got to modify what's going on over here and then get this panel that I had Southern Classic and Customs make up a couple of months ago. That is the inside capping for the tailgate, and we're going to use that as the guide so we keep the same radius over the top, but then we just bring it down flatter a little bit, so then hopefully it lines up with the top of the rear quarters. We're not going to attach anything because there's still a bit of prep work that I have to do on the inside as far as coatings, paintings, rust prevention, all of that kind of jazz. And then I found one of these little offcuts, a little bump, which are in, it's the same feature that's already in the wheel arches up the top. I'm going to use that as the patch around the strut tower. Still love that sound.